Uh, okay. Mm,
Yeah, I guess I can hear you now.
okay, perfect.
Sorry, my
We'll
volume
shift
was
that.
too low.
That's fine. Hi,
Yeah,
how are
welcome
you?
back. Yeah, I'm
Thank you
good.
so
Welcome back.
much.
Yeah.
So I am preparing for CBAC, so I'm going through the BABOK right now. So I'm not the
Okay.
best person to talk about, but still. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so BABOK is nothing but the business analysis body of knowledge. So this is specifically for the BAs. It's kind of a Bible, I can say, for all the business analysts to do, who are
Mm-hmm.
working as a business analyst professionals. So this certification is provided by IIBA, which is very much recognized worldwide, is what I can say. So it offers couple of courses like ECBA, CCBA, CBAP, and also cyber security related courses as well. IBA offers all these courses, but with specific to BABOK, this certification, what I call as ECBA, CCBA, and CBAP, can be earned by reading BABOK. So right now, since I have more than a decade experience, I am trying to crack CBAP. I just started couple of days back, so I feel it's a very tangled subject, having knowledge areas and also techniques, competencies. So,
Mm-hmm.
in order to what I have heard from the experienced people who have already, I think even you are a CBAP certified, I'm not sure.
No,
Uh,
no,
no,
Samit.
okay.
I was not able to go beyond chapter one. Every time I pick it up, I fell asleep. Sorry, Gaurav.
No,
But
it is a very dry subject. Even I get a kind of a sleepy feeling whenever I take the book, and the book is also very dry, boring subject. But at the end of the day, what I've heard from the experienced people who have already cleared CBAP is like it has some weightage in the when you go to the market, as well as when you actually do a CBAP certification. It will
Mhm.
definitely give a weightage for your promotions, as well as to switch from one company to the other, because when you are trying for the overseas, the CBAP is considered as the international certification, which is recognized worldwide. So it is recognized not only in US, Canada, and it is triggering a lot of, from past few years I feel it has gained lot of importance in India. And also if you're trying for overseas like Australia or some other countries also, if you have done your BCom or working as a BA, this will definitely add on to your uh, job role. It's kind of an international recognized certification which will definitely help you on a longer run. Obviously, I want to definitely know what after I get certified as CBAP. I think Gaurav can answer my question on that. So I know that we have to conduct some sessions, and we have to actively engage in some of the trainings that is actually conducted by IIBA. So through which we gain points. And after 3 years, after I complete the CBAP, and after 3 years, I have to recertify myself. So that is what I know with regard to CBAP, but I would be very interested to know what after 3 years. So when I come to a recertification stage, what actually I need to do uh, over a period of time once I get CBAP certification. That is what I'm looking forward. So this is
Mhm.
just a gist of whatever I know with regard to BABOK. I'm not a best person to talk about it because I'm still in a learning phase. Over to
Thanks,
you.
Savita. Thanks, Savita. Thanks. That was a very good introduction to Babok, and you have taken words out of my mouth. I was about to say all that, but yeah, it's general standard. So in case anyone is looking for IIBA certification, which has industry-wide weightage, and is considered as a plus point for any business analyst to have a IIBA certification. In case you are looking for it, you need to go through business analysis body of knowledge book. It is a 500 plus page book, and there are no pictures whatsoever. So and Savita has also mentioned that it kinds of get very dry, but we are here to understand from Gaurav uh, how we can make it interesting and how to crack it and how to understand BABOK better so that it helps us in our certifications. And of course, certification related information we can find it online. But as Savita asked, what next? So we'll go to the what next part later. But in the meanwhile, let's understand first how to crack it. So hi Gaurav, welcome to Clubhouse.
Hello. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Gaurav, you are. So,
Correct.
so before we start, let me introduce Gaurav to all of you. Gaurav is a has a professional experience of 14 years, more than 14 years. He has worked on end-to-end product life cycle and have launched products from inception to commercialization. He has wide exposure on domains like media, entertainment, e-commerce, travel, procurement, and what's interesting here is that he's contributed to IIBA's latest product ownership guide and knowledge hub. So he's one of the authors of IIBA certification books. So he's very knowledgeable, and he was also one of the speakers at Intelligent Process Automation Summit, where he presented topic how to simplify a complex process the Sherlock way. So we are also hoping, Gaurav, that we will understand the Sherlock way to simplify Babok today from you and from your experience. And thanks a lot for joining us today to discuss on this, very interesting and very beneficial topic.
Yeah.
Before we start, let me just you put some ground rules of the club. So if you want to join us on stage, you need to raise your hand and I'll invite you in. When you join us, please keep on mute. And in case you want to participate in the ongoing discussion, you need to flash your mic. So just mute, unmute, mute, unmute. I can see the mic flashing, and I'll call you on stage and I'll tell you, that you can speak now. So we go in. The order you join us on stage. So if you join us first, you'll get a chance first to ask your queries and uh, you know to share in the in the conversation. Another thing which I like to add here is, though we do not allow recording of our sessions, we are making an exception today because this is such a beneficial topic. So I have made an exception today, and I have kept the replay option on for this one. So the session will be accessible even after this call. So, as I always do, I'll be noting down the key points from our conversation on the BA Club Telegram group. So, we will have the summary there, but in case anyone wants to, listen to the recording again, it will be available. But again, this is just an exception for today, and going forward, we may not have the replay sessions. We'll see what's the feedback. Um, so, so yeah. So hi Gaurav.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Shipra. And thanks for adding more pressure by recording the session. So,
No,
let,
it was such a beneficial topic. I
no, no,
didn't
no
want
worries.
to miss.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I agree to the point that Savita was saying that it's a book that makes you fall asleep. Something we call it somniferous book because it's such a big book and going through it is really tough. Even I faced the challenge. So, the before we get into details, maybe I would like to define boundaries for today's session so that we can stick to our own agenda and do not dwell into additional topics. So, today, the main thing is what my session won't be covering is basically, I'm not going to talk about IIBA or what they do and about their certifications because that's, as you said, it's already available. Even the exam tips and tricks, there are a lot of videos and literature which is already there. And another main point is I'm not here to sell BABOK as the best guide in the world and every BA must read it. But I want to put across that BABOK is a good source of knowledge. And as any business analysis professional, they should at least try to read it once to understand what is it. Than just saying that it's so complex that I don't want to go through it. So objective of my session today, or maybe that's why I said that it's beyond certification. What is BABOK? Because most of the times people just say that if I want to get certified, I have to read this book, otherwise I'm not going to read it. So that's the gist of what I would be covering. But then maybe what I would rather share how I try to tame this scary monster, and how do I make sense out of this complex book. So hopefully this would help everyone to face this particular challenge of going through BABOK. um, and also, this is maybe based on the feedback that I got on my Google Forms. I see that there are mix of attendees in today's session, wherein we have got practitioners who have got a lot of experience, and we have got beginners who want to begin their BA journey. So just a fair warning to everyone that there might be few pieces of information for which the practitioners might feel that no, it's nothing new, I know it already, but then it's beneficial for the beginners. And for some sections, beginners might feel that they won't be able to relate to the pointers, but then it's relevant to people who are experienced in business analysis. So the only hope that I have is at the end of the session, everyone has some takeaways they can take along with them and build on it, or maybe start working on them which interests them. So that is it. And the final disclaimer I have before we dive into the session is, this is based on as they show in movies, that all the views expressed in this session are through my own analysis, my own understanding and experience. So there might be cases that I have missed few points, I don't know few points, and as we all are, I'm also a student of this topic. So uh, yeah, after this whole big monologue and a lot of talking, let me quickly talk about the flow of the session that I have in my mind. So we'll start with how to break down BABOK, how to declutter it. Then the second is how do I use it, basically how do I use it to define my own profession, how do I use it to handle interviews, how do I use it to handle case studies, how do I use it in real life scenarios, and how do I use it as a reference point. There were a couple of questions related with its linkage with Agile and Scrum, etc., or product management. I'm afraid that I won't be able to cover those points in detail, but let's see, if we get time, we'll try to touch them briefly. So yeah, so let me, as of now, are there any other questions anybody has?
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav, for setting up the stage. So Savita has already shared her
Correct.
question. So
Right.
Sidhu has joined us too. So Sidhu, will you like to share your expectations or anything
Uh,
you'll
no, I
like
will
to
make
cover
sure.
specifically?
Sorry for interrupt. I will start after the cover of finish once it finished. I don't have right now
Okay,
anything to discuss. Let get it up later. I will join you.
sure, sure. Thanks,
Yeah,
Sidhu.
sure.
Yeah, Gaurav, please go ahead.
Okay, so so first part wherein we'll start about how do we break down behavior and make that the complexity, or the simplify the complexity. So what I generally say is, the way I learn things is going from top down. So this is the same way I'll try to demystify it. Say for example, all of us are aware about game of cricket, right? And say for example, if someone from the remote regions of earth and they come to India and they ask us, okay, I'm new to India and I want to learn cricket, how should I go about it now? When we are trying to explain this particular thing, or explain cricket to someone who doesn't know about cricket, what we will tell them is, okay, cricket as a whole has got three areas under it, something like a batting, a fielding, or a bowling. So these are three areas which fall under cricket that a cricketer should be aware of. He might not be expert in all, but he should be aware of. On the same line, what BABOK says is, as a business analyst, a person who is performing a business analyst role should be aware of six knowledge areas. And like cricket, we have batting, bowling, fielding. In business analysis, we have these six knowledge areas. I'll just quote the names of these areas. Will maybe I'll like quickly talk about the way I look at them. But one of them is, say for example, requirement, um, analysis and design definition, solution evaluation, strategy analysis, requirement lifecycle management, so on and so forth. You'll find them in index. So basically what BABOK says is there are these 6 knowledge areas a BA should be aware of. Then uh, continuing with the cricketing example now, okay, we have explained that okay, these are 3 areas you should be aware of. If someone wants to become a batsman, or if someone wants to know about batting as a area or aspect of a cricket, what all things he should be doing. So then we tell them, okay, as a batsman, obviously you need to know about batting. You actually bat in the matches. You practice before matches. You analyze the pitch condition. You analyze the bowling of the opposition. You watch videos of opposition bowlers. After your innings, you analyze your own batting. How did you perform? During matches, you pace your innings accordingly during those 50, 20, whatever the match format is. So what we say is under batting, you can perform these many tasks. Same way, BABOK says if we are talking about a knowledge area, there are certain tasks under that particular knowledge area. So if I'm saying that there is a knowledge area as a BA, I should be aware of elicitation and collaboration. What I should be knowing is under this particular knowledge area, a business analyst generally performs 5 tasks. Something like I prepare for elicitation, I conduct the elicitation, I confirm whatever I have gathered during elicitation, I communicate this information, and then eventually I manage all the stakeholders collaborating during elicitation or post elicitation. So these are the 5 tasks you generally perform when you do this particular, or you are working on this particular knowledge area. I took this example as most of us would be working. I have already worked on this area. So this is what BABOK says. So now we have a knowledge area, we have tasks under it. Then what they say is, as again we'll jump to the cricket example, wherein we say okay, as a batsman these are the tasks you would be performing. But then obviously, to say for example, to analyze opposition's bowling before my inning, I need to have some videos of those bowlers, or I need to have some data about those bowlers. Now that is nothing but an input for this particular task. The same way BOBOK has inputs for their own tasks. All these tasks have their inputs. Okay. Now, as I was saying that, okay, so you need inputs. There are knowledge areas. There are these tasks. For these tasks, you need input, and then obviously, since you get something, there are some outputs also. So that's like input. Then there is a task, and then there is output of that particular task. That is the I mean the high level structure of knowledge areas: task, input, output. Now the next part under that, I hope I'm not going too fast. Is
No,
everyone
Gaurav.
clear?
Yeah, that's the right pace.
Okay, cool. Then I know that okay, as a cricketer, I know this is what I need to do. These are the inputs. This is the task that I would need, and this might be the output. Then there are some things called as techniques or and stakeholders. So this is these two I generally see it together. So even if I need to perform these tasks, there are certain techniques that a BA can follow to perform these tasks, and that's again is part of the knowledge area. Or if you go to each task that we talked about, like during elicitation we say that we prepare for elicitation, we need those inputs. And now those inputs, why BAK becomes complex is these inputs are from other tasks of other knowledge areas, so that's why it's intertwined. So some other knowledge area has some other tasks which becomes input for my elicitation tasks, and that's why it becomes a bit complex, wherein there are too many things to keep in mind. But then, keeping that aside, keep this structure in mind, that there is a knowledge area, there are tasks under the knowledge area, there are input to this task, there are outputs to these tasks. Now to perform these tasks, there are certain techniques that you can use to perform these tasks, and then there are stakeholders who you need to engage with to perform these tasks. So on very simplest terms, this is the structure of BABOK's knowledge areas. Any questions?
Yeah. So
Yes.
Gaurav has explained the structure of BABOK so far. So in case you have any questions, please raise your hand and join us on stage. And it's a very good opportunity to understand BABOK and get your queries clarified. So do make use of this opportunity. So, Gaurav, one question from my side.
Hmm.
So, as you suggested that there is an added complexity that different knowledge areas are intervened with each other, and inputs from one knowledge area becomes output of another. Output of another knowledge area becomes input of one knowledge area, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
what my experience with Babok was, so
Hmm.
there was not one, two, or three techniques or inputs or outputs.
Correct.
The count was on a higher side. So if I think about the techniques which I went through, so there were some 10, 12 techniques for one particular task or
Correct.
one knowledge area. So in case someone is preparing for IIBA certification, do they need to remember all those 10, 12 techniques, or it's more like if you understand the process, you will be able to answer the questions.
Uh,
What's the, how much you have to
yeah.
cram it up?
See, the thing is, if we getting into the exam side of things now, the initial entry level exams or certification like ECBA or CCBA, they are mostly theory based. Wherein what they say is, I mean, this is what I have experienced is mostly the question answers are purely from book side, or wherein, so basically, if you have got what they say is, if you have got a experience around 5,000 hours in business analysis, uh, then you can go for CCBA. ECBA is very entry level, so I'm not considering it as well at all. But then the entry level examinations have got theoretical questions wherein they stick to these theoretical parts, wherein whatever is mentioned in the book we should be able to reproduce. But there is a certain part wherein they ask you questions based on cases. So not necessarily it's a direct application or direct usage of the book, but then you have to be it's basically applying your experience to these techniques and finding out the right answer. So I won't deny the fact that you'll have to go through the book. So if you're, since I wasn't considering this part, but then if you're going for a certification, what I have learned is at least you have to go through it twice, the book. There is no other way around. uh, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, for entry level, obviously there will be questions from the book, but then if you are experienced, you will be able to relate those techniques. So it's not like you'll have to remember, like you have to mug it up. Obviously, if you know, if you break down in this way, generally you will be able to understand the flow, and you will be able to understand, okay, logically this makes sense, that okay, this technique is here. And because I have done it this way, so for example, if you go for elicitation, you would know, okay, the techniques which are mentioned are something that I have already used. Something like brainstorming, data mining, I do it, or document analysis, I do it before I go for an elicitation. So if you're experienced, that helps to relate these topics or relate these techniques. But yeah, if it's pure certification that you're looking for, then yeah, obviously you'll have to read the BABOK.
Mm-hmm.
And that too generally I've seen, I mean, at least I read it twice when I gave CWEP,
Yeah. So
uh,
if you are
4 5 days.
yeah, relating to your experience and giving it twice or thrice review, that should be good enough. That's what you are suggesting.
Yeah, so generally the way, I mean, if you're talking about preparation, I read it twice, I gave the practice tests,
Mm-hmm.
and keep time bound the whole preparation. You shouldn't be keeping it like 6 months I have to give. It's 2 months time, generally they say that it's good enough to prepare for it. But then yeah, it's not as exhaustive as PMP, wherein there is a lot of study that you would be doing, but then still it's a rigorous work. The another difference, what they say is, what I have seen is, when I said these 5,000 hours or 7,000 hours, they check it against these knowledge areas. So as far as I remember, the form which you submit, or the initial application, includes knowledge area wise hours spent. So they don't look for your designation, they don't look for your current role. They ask you, have you worked on elicitation or not? I mean, in crude way, but then how many hours have you spent on elicitation? So even if you can be a bank clerk, or even if you are a contact center agent, if you have worked, if you know these tasks that I talked about and you have worked or spent some time on it, you can put hours, or you think you have done some aspect of business analysis, not the complete business analysis, but some part of business analysis you have done. So they don't ask you that what is your business analysis experience. They ask you that how much time you have spent on each knowledge area and task of business analysis. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know the recent 3.0 examination standard, but at least 2.0 had this, and I'm sure they would continue with it because I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Gaurav, for answering that. We have Bhavna and Kirti with us. Thanks, guys, for joining us on stage. Bhavna, will you like to share something or ask any question?
Yeah, thanks, Shipra. Um, yeah, Gaurav, I was just thinking from CBAC perspective.
Hmm.
You stated that yes, there are six knowledge areas. So does uh, BABOK specifies any weightage percentage in terms of the examination?
uh, Officially, they don't.
Okay,
But then there is a certain percentage that generally these institutes which you conduct training, they generally talk about. But I have seen hardly there is any difference. Generally, they carry the similar weightage.
okay.
But yeah,
So,
but I think the training institutes would be the right people to tell that, because I haven't kept track of it.
mm, so you're saying that as per your experience, you saw them uniformly placed.
Yeah, hardly. I mean, 4-5% here
Hmm.
and there.
Yeah,
That's
then
it.
so at a broader level, they are good. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what's the latest book version that's going on? Is it
3.0.
oh 3.0? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yes.
Thanks, Bhavna. So Gaurav, any idea when 4.0 will be coming up?
Generally, they release in I think 3 to 5 years. I think that's their cycle.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know whether they're working on it, but I think behavior. I mean, IIBA might be focusing more on now getting into product space, product analysis space.
Right,
That's why they have come up with POA and all.
right.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know when the 4.0, or
Mm-hmm.
even if, I think what they are currently working on is the same thing that we are trying to do, that's simplifying BABA. Okay. So
Right.
if you are an IIBA member, they have got this section of knowledge hub wherein they have tried to break it down, or they have got these videos and all those training material they're trying to create right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then yeah, that's one of the institute who takes, I mean, who talks about business analysis. There are other institutes who take care of it, which are, they are also doing their own work. So I'm not, again, I'm stressing that I'm not saying that this is the way to go for a business analysis. So, and I'm not selling BAB. Okay, I'm not pushing anyone to read it. I'm
Right,
just making sure that it's one of the knowledge areas that you should be aware of. That's it. And as a BA, you
mm-hmm.
should never say no to a knowledge area or knowledge source. That's it.
Right, right. Thanks, Gaurav. Sidhu?
Yes, Shilpa. I have one
Yeah.
question to Gaurav. Gaurav, you have done a certification in business analyst, right?
Yes, yes, I am CPAP certified.
Okay. I have 2 years experience in business analyst. I used to do daily activities as a business analyst, like stations and working on the dashboard and gathering the informations and old cases, reviewing the old cases, and also supporting to the client whatever what actually client is looking for, understanding the client aspect of what actually the requirement is. So these all the stuff, whatever the concept we work on this daily activities is really equal to what we learn in the BABOK or certifications, because um, wherever if you compare to the PMBOK, like project management, there is a
Mm-hmm.
concept of there's a concept of knowledge areas and also the
Correct.
format and tests is there. Okay, as per that we have to follow the Springbok in the project manager based role.
Mm-hmm.
There is more importance on that project. Okay, there's a good value, and also usually they will not follow those things. Okay, they have the knowledge areas and workflows, everything will be there, and the way of working will be the same. Okay, and they will not follow those things. Okay, that's the experience makes that work simplifier based on that whatever requirement is there, based on that they react and work on that. Okay. As a BA, there I didn't see that any kind of particular learning aspect from this BABOK to implement in the working process. Is that really helps in getting the certifications in BABOK for a career?
I Okay, the question that you are asking is there any practical use of BABOK or certification? Is
Yes,
that so? In
yes,
short,
yes,
so see, no certification has got practical way directly, practical usage. I always feel that it should be linked with your application of the certification. So many of these seniors or experienced people would say that they don't care about certification, and what I am trying to say is, see, if I ask you tomorrow what is business analysis, what would be your answer? I feel that how many people we have today, around 20, 30. 30 people would have 30 different answers about business analysis. Now if you go for, if I ask you and you define business analysis in a certain way, that okay, this is how I see business analysis, do you feel that that's an all encompassing definition of a business analysis, or something that we should keep in mind? Why I'm saying definition is critical and why these guides give you definition is, see, it all defines the scope of work that you would be working on. So for example, if I say I'm a builder and I'm building, I'm into business of raising or building multi-storied buildings, so now my scope of work is I only construct multi-story buildings. But as soon as I start saying that I am into business of giving, providing shelter, now I'm into totally different landscape, and my work is huge. I mean, I can work anywhere. Similarly, when a BA, BOK, or any other guide says that a BA is someone who maps, or someone who enables change in an organization, that becomes a bigger thing. When, so basically the definition says, if I want to stick to this particular guide, they say that a BA enables change in an organization by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. Now here we don't talk about technology, we don't talk about processes, we don't talk about documentation, we don't talk about any specific domain also. So for you, if you are working in a particular domain, there are set of business analysis tasks that you perform practically also, which are given here. So for example, if tomorrow I am going for an elicitation, if I am a fresher, I don't even know that I am meeting tomorrow, I'm meeting a sponsor, I don't even know what I should be prepared for. Or say for example, how should I plan meeting my sponsor after a week, I've just joined the project. Now one way is, okay, asking people that how should I go about it. The other way is reading a reference guides, or getting from these BABOK or any other guide, PMP, anything which is there. So if BABOK says that okay, you have to follow these 5 tasks that you have to prepare for elicitation, that becomes a checklist for someone who is a very fresher to a BA stream, wherein I don't even know. So then I would know, okay, I'll have to prepare for it, I have to do so, and okay, I have to book a meeting room, I have to see what is it. Also there is certain parts of BABOK, if you are aware, that they're saying that we should be doing stakeholder analysis. Now all of us would know, okay, stakeholder analysis needs to be done, but what is it, how to use it, are there any specific outputs of stakeholder analysis? So that becomes a practicality of it. So no certification will tell you, okay, Gaurav, go back, do 1 2 3 4, then you are a BA. No certification would do that. What they will say is, generally these are descriptive guides. What they say is, we have seen thousands of BAs across the globe doing these 5 things, now you think and apply whatever is applicable for you. No guide would tell you that okay, if you do these, that's the best thing, or that's the only way to go about it. They will always give you a structure and a framework. Application is always on an individual, right? I can't, as a general guide creator or someone who is even giving this session, I can't predict how the things would be in your own project or in your own circumstance. If you are giving example of PMP, it's also the same way. PMP is also, it won't tell you that okay, you have to do these things. What they tell is, these are the 7, say, types of risks that you need to take care of. Now your project might need, as a structure, it has given you those many, it's up to you how do you use it, right? All these guides are not prescriptive, like okay, I have a checklist that tuck 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 tuck, I do these 7 things, that's it, done, I'm the best BA. No certification, no guide can do that. So if you're looking for practicality of it, it's something who reads the guide, or you know maybe have these discussions wherein people who have read and they have benefited from this. So that maybe after this session, if you feel that it's of no use, that's okay. You don't need to go through BABOK. It's okay. I mean, that's not the only guide in the world, right? There are other sources of information.
Wonderful, Gaurav. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks for the information.
What I think of. Gaurav is suggesting that it is something like your degree or diploma, which whatever education you have taken. So it just gives you education, and how you use that education in your job, that is up to you, right, Gaurav?
Correct. That's why, I mean, nobody, even in this group, there are people who say that it's of no use, which is okay, absolutely fine. I mean, they have experience, they have applied their own knowledge also. Sometimes these guys give you, that's what the two things that these guys give you are: structure and a reference point. How, maybe I'll cover in next sections, but these are the important or critical factors which generally these guides provide you. I'll tell
Right.
you maybe once we go
Hmm.
to that part.
Yeah. Thanks, Gaurav. Very well articulated. Avin, please wait for your turn. Kirti.
Yeah, hey, Shipra.
Yeah. Hi.
Good evening, Gaurav.
Welcome
Hello.
back.
So, yeah, thank you. So, I've got a couple of informations to share and one quick question for Gaurav. So, on the information part, first for Sidhu, yeah, from my experience, what I feel is yes, BABOK is completely a theory, but there are a lot of ways in which I've seen people applying all those knowledge in their practical project work, right? So, I mean, yeah, as Gaurav has rightly pointed out, let's take for example for elicitation techniques itself, we've got 5 tasks, but based on, I mean, each project is unique, right? So once you go through it, you will get to know which is the best combination that you could apply to get the business requirement for that specific project. So Bevok is basically a guide that gives us all the kind of techniques and tools that have been tested and practiced by all the business analysts. So it's just for us to understand it's just for us to understand what are all the methods and techniques that are there that any business analyst could apply. It's up to a business analyst to understand the criticality and the phase of the project, and then try to come up with an innovative combination to get the BA work done. And I mean, one specific example that I could quote is we had a session on the list of techniques that are there in business analysis and how they are being used in the BA work. So this happened sometime in December, and that was kind of an eye-opener session. Babok was completely a theory, and then I was like so excited to understand how this is being used in multiple projects. How what's the practical applicability of all of these techniques? And the second information is I've been following through the rates of all the certifications. So starting March, CBAP rates have actually gone down by $100. So if anyone is interested, then probably I think this is the right time to prepare and then give the certification. And finally, coming to the question for Gaurav. Gaurav, I understand. I've been going through the guide. I've gone through the guide once. I'm going through it for the second time. I
Mhm.
see that each of the task that's there has got its own set of flowcharts, right? Input, technique,
Correct.
and then what are all the tasks inside that, and then the output. So, to
Correct.
what extent should I familiarize myself with all these flowcharts for when I prepare for CCBA certification?
Uh, Actually, it depends. For me, I am a visual learner. So for me, I created my own flowcharts or pieces of information which to understand the knowledge area. So I didn't remember everything, to be honest, but I learned through images. So I created my own flowcharts and used the existing flowcharts which are there. So the way I broke down was the same way I explained initially, and then for remaining pieces I went through the theory. So it's up to you. If you are a good learner in terms of, I mean, you have got this pictorial memory, then you can definitely use those images. or you can create your own also. So for me, I created my own with input, output, and stakeholders and techniques. These four aspects I kept in one diagram. That's how I kept. I didn't clutter it with the elements and other things that they have given, no, in the flowchart, the given flowchart. Hello.
Got it, Gaurav. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And for techniques also, na, what they have done is good thing they have done in 3.0 is they have got this last section of BABOK, okay, wherein they have given techniques and which tasks you can use those techniques for. So that's also a good practical way to understand. Okay, if I'm talking about a particular technique, which all tasks or knowledge areas use that particular technique. So that is also another way to know the practicality of that task. So, for example, if I'm talking about uh, benchmarking or market analysis, they say that okay, it might be required in elicitation, wherein while conducting I need to put forward these benchmarks or use them as a reference. It can be used for strategy analysis and so on and so forth. So that is also another good thing they have added in 3.0 to know the practicality of techniques. Okay.
Thanks, Gaurav. I hope that answers your question, Kirti.
Yeah,
Yeah, one thing to add, so techniques, as Gaurav mentioned, there are 50 techniques, I guess, which have been added to BABOK,
Correct.
and you can make use of them. So these techniques comprises of requirement elicitation and other knowledge areas. It's a combination of
Yeah,
all
yeah,
those,
yeah.
right, Gaurav?
Correct, correct.
Yeah, and
See,
from knowledge perspective, right? Yeah, please, Gaurav, go
carry
ahead.
on, carry on, carry on.
Yeah. So what Gaurav is stressing here is that we should not read BABOK only for the certification of or cracking the certification. We should make use of the knowledge which is embedded into this
Correct.
guide, right? So even if you are not going through the knowledge areas, let's us all, even I have not gone through it, to be honest, but let us all go through the techniques at least and see which of them are can be applied to our projects. So that will be really helpful. So as Kirti mentioned, our requirement elicitation session was an eye opener for many, because most of us were using only interview technique, right? So people were not even aware of other techniques. So let's at least go through the techniques and at a high level and see what encompasses and what can be useful to us, and what is something we can park it for future. So so thanks, Kirti, for raising this up. Yeah, Gaurav.
Yes. So BABOK also, as Shipra was saying, it has got techniques and it has got underlying competencies. So we'll touch upon those in the later part of this session when we'll talk about it. Only one thing I'll add under techniques also. No, what the good thing about BABOK is they have given it in a structured format. So all techniques, they have mentioned purpose of the technique, the description or how do you use it, and then there are elements to the technique or something which you might use or uh, you can leverage during applying that technique. They have also added advantages in certain cases. So all those usage considerations also they have added, wherein when what's the strength of this particular technique, what is the limitation of this technique. So it's not just that sorry, it's not just the description of the technique. They've added what's the limitation also, which is I feel that something it's always helpful to know. Okay, if I use this technique I might miss on something. Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. God bless you. Vin,
Hi,
sorry
Shipra.
for keeping you waiting. Hi, welcome to
Hi.
Clubhouse.
Thank you. Back then, I just wanted to add a few points, very well valid points made. I think I've cleared it about 2 years back. That was version 3. So I had some thing to add in terms of weightage for each of the knowledge areas. That's when I was trying to speak up. Um, uh,
Yeah, please
I
go
I
ahead.
think
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Bhavna has asked that question. Out of the six knowledge areas, requirement lifecycle management carries the highest weightage. Um, I actually don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's 30%, I think. 29 to 30%. Solution evaluation and strategy analysis carries almost the equal weightage. Rest of the things fall somewhere between 13, 11%. And, requirement lifecycle management is the highest out of all. And many questions out of 120 questions, you can see like you can't technically define this question is from this knowledge area. The reason is like it's all case study based questions and real life scenarios. Um, so BABOK to me, I'm going by the title of the club, like BABOK Beyond Certification. I'm a part of Toronto chapter here. I work closely with the president of IABA. They try to imbibe a pulse of what they're trying, like how a business analyst is supposed to act. So when I started reading whatever like 500 pager or 600 pager, my problem was to relate page 1 to page 100. Like it goes over your head and it is very dry. So what I did was like again every all of us have different ways of preparation. Gaurav has suggested some pictorial way. Even I am pro pictorial, but what I have done is like I tried making one pager for each of the knowledge areas. I've put it to the wall, and in one nutshell, I can see okay, this is linked to this. There are a lot of linkages also in terms of techniques or elements or tools. It may sound confusing, all the words look very, very similar, but after this is done, when you so there is a way of methodology of learning anything that you learn. So there is something called as Bloom's taxonomy, which usually in any learning you can do a check in terms of what am I learning. So in that Bloom's taxonomy, the first level is obtaining knowledge. Okay, so you get knowledge, that's information. You are not essentially processing it, you just get knowledge. Second stage of Bloom's taxonomy is comprehension, where you try to comprehend, okay, I have learned this, I got this information. You're trying to make meaning out of it inside your head. That's the second level. Third level is application. So BABOK usually, like the intent of CBAP or PMP is to check at an application level. And the prime difference between these two, PMP or like Project Management Institute and IIBA, is we always deal with two things. One, uh, what are we doing? And two, how are we doing? So business analyst usually travels with what to do. A scope is the what a lot of things, right? Like a work has to be done, suppose an application has to be built, and how granular can we go? Usually BA travels with this. How to do is usually taken care by the process centric and project management processes, right? Time, schedule, scope, cost, quality, risk, resources, all those, procurement. So all those things. So beyond certification, yes, BEBOK will not tell you, it's a guideline. So I'll try to take a emotional example. Probably parents do not tell how to live at 30 or whatever is the age. They try to teach you some ethics, and you know how to take conscious calls after that. So BEBOK intent is something like that. It tells you guidelines, and now that you have a pulse, once you completely understand what they're trying to say, you act like a business analyst without your own knowledge. So that's what happened with me. I just wanted to share this thought. Thank you.
Thanks, Vin. Great. Thanks for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Win has got, I think, the recent experience. Have they published this 3.0 weightages, knowledge area
Right,
wise?
right, Gaurav. Yeah. So
I mean, IIBA?
there are ways.
Oh, okay.
Even when you apply for the exam, right,
I missed
you
it.
have to essentially
Okay.
divide the 7,500 hours
Correct.
in terms of each. Like it's something similar to PMP, right? Like PMP
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah.
has the same thing. Initiating, closing is 7%, initiating
Yeah, yeah.
13%, so something like that. So even they have, but they didn't keep a wide difference in terms of weightages. Like in PMP, I
Mm-hmm.
have seen evidently initiating and closing carries the least weightage,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Correct.
Here, everything is very close, but the
Yeah,
highest is requirement lifecycle management
yeah.
because design architecture they talk about.
During, yeah,
Yeah,
during 2.0 days, it wasn't published by IIBA. I mean, the training institute told us some percentages, but it wasn't like known to
I
all
see.
types. But good to know they have done
Yeah,
it. Nice.
thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Vin. Also, one question from my side: Do techniques also carry a weightage, or it is assume that it will be part of the corresponding knowledge area.
It's imbibed inside knowledge areas. The tools and techniques, for instance, there is a new BA, right? Like a new junior business analyst. The questions are also framed like this.
Mm-hmm.
Tom is a senior, or you are a senior business analyst, and there is a person by name Tom joining as a junior business analyst. He joined the project at this phase of life, and how do you guide him? Like how do you advise him? So what you essentially as a senior BA or probably a BABOK, the intention of asking that is how well did you understand BABOK, is to guide them with the right tool and the right technique. Expert judgment is a technique, right? When do you refer to
Mm-hmm.
experts or going back to your repositories? That's one of the techniques, right? So tools, right? Like there are tools also. What tool to use? So these are all imbibed or interfabricated within the knowledge areas. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
technique or knowledge area centric weightage. The kind of questions I've seen out of the 120, try to skip the first 40 and try looking at 41st question. I'm talking about exam. I know this is not relevant, but in case someone is looking forward, there are tips and tricks. First 40 are intentionally drafted to drain your mind, and by the time you finish those 40, you are already exhausted, and you finish like 1.5 hours is gone or 2 hours is gone. You'll be left with, you ideally think 3.5 hours is a long time for 120 questions, but try to prepare from that examination standpoint, which will clearing the exam perspective. I know this is different from what you've asked, Shipra. I just wanted to save
No,
some.
any tip and tricks are most welcome. And thanks for sharing.
Thank
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to share the percentage of questions since everyone are curious about it. It says business analysis, planning and monitoring is 14%, elicitation and collaboration is 12%, requirements lifecycle management is 15%, strategy analysis is 15%, requirement analysis and design definition is 30%, and solution evaluation is 14%. So this is something that I got
Thanks.
it from one of the. I took some training from Simply Learn, so I just got that from
Yeah.
them. So
Mhm.
uh,
Thanks,
this is how the
Savita.
question percentage of questions are print.
Yeah, will you be kind enough to post the same on the Telegram group?
Yeah, sure, I can.
Yeah, thanks, Savita. Thanks for that. I tried capturing it, but it was too fast. Sorry for that.
I can
It will
send
be
out
good
the.
if you can post it.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. No worries.
Yeah, thanks, Savita. Hi, Prashant. It's been a while.
Yeah,
We
hi. Hi
we
all.
missed
Sorry for joining late. Uh,
we
I was
missed
held
you.
up. So I'm not sure as to what was discussed, but then I have a question,
Hmm.
which is basically like, see, how relevant is the BA book? If someone is moving from a business analyst role to a product manager role, I know there is a basic, but how relevant? What is the relevance of this BA book in terms of somebody looking to enhance and move up in their career and role? So this is an open question. Anybody can answer, be it Gaurav, Savita, or anybody who is there can answer.
I'll take a stab at it, but then I think Vin has covered some part, but maybe others can give their opinions also. For me, see, book wise, I mean, no book can make you ready for any role, but if you know what to pick from book,
Hmm.
these books, as Vin was saying, I think I'm not sure whether you heard him or not, but he was talking about something that you once you know, once you read and give this exam, no, it's something that uh, maybe I would say, and it's difficult to put, but then it comes to you. So basically, as a
Right.
business, whatever profession I go into, this trait of a business analyst would lie within me. Somehow it's there. I mean, I think that's the same way I think Vin also explained it. It's even in product management, there are sections during discoveries and wherein you would definitely use certain knowledge areas which are mentioned here, be it strategy
Hmm.
analysis. You might
Right.
definitely touch upon them that okay, I have done some part of it, and once you do, that's what I'm saying. Business analysis as a profession or as a trait is not limited to uh, only a documentation or a process or a technology or a domain. It's
Yeah.
beyond that. That's what I feel. And I know it's not straightforward answer, but yeah, maybe others can give you very
So
specifics.
you
But
may not
currently I'm
be
into,
doing it, in my understanding from whatever you said. Correct me if I'm wrong. You would not need, what to say, the entire, your, let's say you're cooking something and you don't put in the entire packet of salt in it, but then you still have salt to add flavor to it.
yeah,
So the BA book is like a salt. Use it,
it's no, I would
use it
say it's,
to add flavor,
yeah.
and that forms the basic flavoring agent.
I would say it's like you are, if you are a cook and if you know how to cook, then you get those basics rights, whatever you cook. Say, to, I
Right.
know currently, if I know, I just know how to cook a normal sabzi and dal and roti. But then, if I know how to do it, I can cook uh, n number of sabzis out of whatever basic that I know. Okay,
Yeah.
that way, BA that gives you that mental states or the pulse. The word that when used, I think is very suitable. And I
Right.
am currently into product management, so the whole
Oh,
part is I have also made that transition. But then as a certification or as a book, I might not say, I won't give you in writing that okay, if you have to read it and then you'll become a good product person, but it's not like that.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are certain traits that you carry along which helps you to cook new dishes, you
Right.
know. That's it. Maybe
You make
others can add to it.
innovations and come up with your own things. Probably the mix and match is a bit different.
Yeah, maybe, and there might be some additional things that you would definitely need to know,
Yeah.
but yeah, others can add to it. This is from me.
Gaurav, I agree with you. Like, if anyone else wants to go, they can. Otherwise, I can share my thoughts.
Yeah,
Please, Vin, go ahead.
I have some thoughts. So as I said, I'm still going through the BABOK guide and preparing for CBAP right now. So what I see myself when I went through the training, all those stuff, during my 10 years of experience, I've seen that these techniques or tools are used in one or the other way in my tenure. So I can
Right.
correlate what are the things I have used, and this, and there are few techniques I have not used also. So Babok will
Okay.
provide you a guidance how to use and what are they. So how to use is something, it's up to you how what kind of scenarios it comes to you and how you can utilize that information. However, so this gives you a guide of a kind of a book reference. Okay, this is also a technique, and can I add into my job role is something that you need to see by yourself. So when I was going through this filling of form, like based on the knowledge area, number of hours, etc., I realized that there are a lot of things I have used, but not as a business analyst, even as an associate also. So it all depends. If you want to really be a competitive edge in your professional life, uh, as a business analyst, maybe CBAP is very much useful. And if you don't want to, also it's fine. So it's up to them. So as Gaurav rightly said, it's kind of we can add it to our like MBA. We can add it as a CBAP, so that is an advantage. Not many of the certifications provide you that kind of a privilege, is what I believe. So it's kind of good to good good for the people who like to have a competitive edge over the others uh, in the professional world, is what I would say.
It's more of a good to have than a must have
Yes,
or a should
definitely
have.
agree. It all
Yeah.
depends on your interest, and if you really want to go for it, you can go for it, or else there are a lot of other options as well. This is not the only option.
Got it.
Thanks, Savita. Prashant, I'll go back to your question. You are looking forward to becoming a product manager and how life of a product manager is different from business analyst. Um, just a thought, like I played the role of a product manager. I played the role of a BA as well. BA usually travels with breaking down the scope. Usually, the monetary term is missing in on the piece. Product
Hmm.
manager, life cycle of a product manager starts with ideation. A product idea onwards, he has to conceptually start. Usually, an idea is like
Vin,
business idea. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we will be going in a different direction than the topic. I am looking for volunteers who can talk about project management. So, will you like to be one of the speakers for the same, and maybe Gaurav also can join in?
Sure. Yeah.
And let's take project management as a separate topic. I just don't want
Pro-
the
No,
session
pro-
to
this
be
is
yeah,
deviated
product
from that.
management that he's talking about.
Yeah, product is actually relevant to business analysis as far as my so um,
Right. So
subset of.
let's take it up as a separate topic.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking for scheduling the same topic for the next session. So if you can direct message me, we can set it up for the next week. But let's have product and product related roles like product owner, product manager, project manager. What are the differences and all those topics as a separate topic, if you don't mind.
Sure, Shipraya. We can take it in
Yeah,
a different
yeah.
room.
It's just that the topic for today is Babok, right? So yeah, Gaurav. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah. So the next part, maybe something which touches on how basically BBOK might help you beyond the certification is the second part I wanted to talk about was it gives us a structure. So when I say
Yeah.
structure is
So
to answer.
So, Gaurav,
Sorry.
just before we start,
Hmm.
Kunal has joined us.
Sure.
Kunal, can your topic, can your question wait till Gaurav finishes, or is it
Yeah,
something
that's
that
fine.
will?
Yeah, that's fine,
Okay,
Shipran.
okay, thanks, Kunal. Yeah, Gaurav, please go ahead.
Correct. So the second part is how I wanted to touch upon is how it has helped me to have that structure. So structure, when I say structure, it's be it during interviews to answer questions, or be it structure to solve cases, or maybe a day-to-day task, or as a business analyst, whatever you are doing. So let me let's take an example, a small example. Say for example, during interviews. um there is a very common question that what are the different types of requirements and how would you go about them, and etc etc. So obviously there are other guys experience, based on your experience you can divide requirements or categorize them in certain ways. But imagine imagine that you are a fresher, you have been asked this question and you want to answer, and you say that okay, I haven't, even though I don't have workex, but then based on my learning or reading through BABOK, I can say that there are these four categories of requirement, like a business requirements, then there are stakeholder requirements, then from there we get solution requirements, and then from there we get transition requirements. So all these things, if you give, so basically a normal question, you have got now structure to build your question around. Many times what happens is when you solve a case study, or generally during interviews they ask question real life, even in the real life scenarios, most of the times what helps any professional, be it a product guy or a business analyst, is having that structured approach to solve a problem. You can't just randomly put in words or randomly try different approaches to solve a particular problem. Many a times, I mean, it might work, but then most of the times, be it interviewer or be it a normal scenario, also stakeholders would like to have that structured approach. So BABOK gives you that structure. So for example, if I consider a case which is given during your interviews, or it's a real life case also, wherein say for example, a bank wants to expand its business in new geographies and increase their revenue by say 20% over 3 years. Now to achieve this particular objective, obviously they would break it down into various initiatives. So some of these initiatives will fall in IT space, some might fall in their operational or back office space, some might fall under servicing space. Say for example, if I am launching a new app to cross I'm new feature to cross sell my products like home loans or car loans to existing account holders, then the IT initiative can be adding a new feature to cross sell my products to existing users. That becomes a IT initiative, which is like a stakeholders requirement. So the business requirement said that okay, we want to have this revenue of so much and so much percentage within these many years. That becomes my business requirement. My stakeholders requirement can be from IT perspective, it can be having this new feature, and then the solution requirement for this particular feature can be all those functional and non-functional requirements of that feature. And one of the categories that most of the times we miss to talk about is transition requirements. So basically transition requirements are when you are transitioning from your as is to be state, or transitioning to a new system or a new phase or new state. These transition requirements are only during that transition phase, they die out after the transition. Simple example, a training for my new feature. As soon as the feature is launched, there might be trainings, but then once it's there, it's live, people have started using it, the training requirements might not be there. So even if you are approaching this particular case, or even if you are a BA who has given that you have to work on this new feature to cross sell. So for example, as a case study, if you answer it based on these requirements classification, then you get a structure. Okay, so you can tell an interviewer saying that okay, so I see that this is the business requirement, then from which I know that the function the stakeholder requirement is this app feature, the solution requirement is this new functionality that we want to add. So I've talked about requirement classification. I can talk about okay, so for this particular functionality, who all are the stakeholders? So you basically identify or classify stakeholders. That's another knowledge area from BABOK, which you might be aware of if you might understand or you might have gone through BABOK. Then the requirement analysis or design definition phase, which knowledge area which has got the maximum weightage, you would know okay, so now this is the crux of my answer, this should be crux of my answer, wherein I would say okay, how will I specify, how will I model these requirements, wherein we can talk about use cases, or user stories, or whichever way we want to tackle it. And then obviously uh, you'll talk about requirement lifecycle in terms of how will you prioritize, how will you trace those requirements, etc and etc. So that might be a good structure for a beginner or someone who doesn't have a lot of exposure to answer the question. And in real life scenarios, BA practitioners would definitely need to add their flavor of their experience to it, saying that okay, even though I see it as a functional requirement, there might be certain stakeholders which might be missed, or something like a governance related stakeholder requirements, or there might be a government condition which has been put by that stakeholders requirement, which I need to take care during my functional requirement. So uh, these books, or this basically BABOK guide gives you this structure to tackle certain business problem. And knowing these structures sometimes help you to do it more effectively and efficiently than just hitting out in the dark. I hope I'm able to, I mean, basically, I just want to stress that think of BABOK as something which gives you a structure to tackle a business problem. Don't think it as just a book. So many parts of the book will help you to structure your approach, to structure your answers. Am I clear?
Thanks, Gaurav. Any questions for Gaurav?
Gaurav, I have question.
Yes,
So,
Savita.
Yeah.
whenever I take up this scenario base, so there is a contradictory, is what I can say, that the practical scenarios what we face on a day-to-day basis is little different from what we actually read in Babok and what is the answer that they are expecting us to give. So, is there any tips and tricks how to handle this? Sometimes it becomes it depends on the perception, right? How a particular person will tackle a situation. But whereas when we are giving the exams, the Babok or exam per se, they need the definite answer that this is the technical, I mean, this is the answer that you need to give, but practically it might differ.
I think maybe Win would be the right. Win, would you mind answering this, because he's, I think, the latest one who has given the examination.
Can I have the question repeated, please? I was in two minds on the
Yeah,
chat.
So when actually what I'm facing right now is I'm preparing for CBAP certification right now.
Sure.
So when I'm just going through the questions,
Mm-hmm.
based on if I try to answer those questions based on my practical, uh, so based on my
Exposure.
experience, I can say
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it doesn't match with the BABOK guide at all. So the BABOK expects, I mean, the exam expects to have a particular answer. Is there a
Mm-hmm.
best way or any kind of a tips and tricks which you can give? Whether it's kind of a dilemma whether I should apply my practical experience on that, or I have to just go through the BABOK whatever it says and have to stick to that. So it depends on the perception, right? So a particular person can actually go through as per the BABOK, or
Right.
they can take the other options as well, because the options given in the exams are too confusing.
Right. Right. Yeah. So my take on this, uh, I used to get confused too because what we practice is very different from what is a standard. So Babok tried to bring in some kind of a standard across the globe. How should it be? It's not like how it is. It's happening with Scrum also, right? Like what is exactly prescribed is not what we are actually following. Organizations usually try to find a hybrid model between what they want and what is prescribed. So blindly cut off like whatever like it's actually sad to say, but just blindly go by Bebok. What are the teaching? Believe that that's what is guideline, right? Like it's just a guideline. So what I used to do was I used to think, okay, what I'm doing is wrong, okay, or what I'm doing is little different from what is suggested. That comparison I used to make, but practically, if you use your practical knowledge, mostly you'll end up choosing another option because all the four options are very close. At least two options are very close. That's the reason they draft questions that way. Like they know that this is what is being practiced in the industry and they want to change that practice, which is why this is for experienced professionals. Like you need certain number of hours already worked on it, and they try to try to bring a structure to it and refine the processes. Like if we are doing something, we can't say wrong, but a person who is putting in a rupee or a dollar has some interest in the process also, how you're doing things. So these guys want to erase that and try to bring a certain guideline, which is a standard practiced across the globe or across the industry. uh, did did I manage to answer the question? Like just go by the book and try not to bring your practice into this because it will be tough to clear the exam.
Yeah, that is what I'm facing right now.
Savita, just to add to what Vin said, uh, I would say that you're not testing your experience, you're trying to gain a certification. So obviously there is a book that is being followed, that is to be followed, and that has got the prescribed methodologies and the activities that you need to do. So obviously you are by going through your by trying to draw parallel between your experience and what is prescribed, and trying and at last choosing an answer based on your experience, you're only testing your experience, you're not gaining the certification.
Yeah, I got that, but Prashant, it's like, uh, see, when you give a scenario,
Yeah,
it
there is
it
no right
becomes
or
kind
wrong.
of a very tricky, to
Yeah,
whether you use your practical side of it or whether you just
true,
go with
true,
the
true,
BABOK.
true.
And sometimes BABOK, I don't feel BABOK is right at that point of time. Sorry to say that.
I
Yeah,
felt that
so
many
Oh,
times.
that's
it
a
becomes
common
very tangled.
perception. That's a very common perception and understanding with all people who've not gone through the guide. But then, yeah, so you can't help it.
Savita, that's the
Yeah,
very
exactly.
reason options are given that way. They
Yeah.
try to talk to as many people as possible and try to come up with those options and frame those questions that way so that you're confused. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Savita, generally, I mean, the way they design these answers now, I mean, I was part of this POA guides examination also. What they generally do is, initially when they open this certification, the first rounds they generally they analyze the answers of each question. So they statistically map, saying that so basically they check that what is the percentage of distribution for each option, and they refine the question bank. So they remove the questions wherein they feel that the answers are too near to each other and there is no way to separate them, the same confusion that you have. Most of the questions that be I mean obviously they stick to the prescribed book that we have, but the examination goes through refinements. So these questions, even the passing marks, even the percentage distribution, as far as I know, IIBA developed it over a period of time, going through answers from n number of participants and checking if the answers are confusing or not. So ideally, I mean, there might be few questions like that, because we had debates within the panel also, and we kept few questions. So I agree to it, but I feel that most of the times I don't know. I mean, I can't quote the percentage, but they try to avoid that thing wherein there is too much of similarity between options, and you get confused to answer which one is right, which one is wrong. But yeah, recent ones, I don't know, I haven't given, I mean, I'm just being recertifying myself, so I haven't given any examination on 3.0. That's why I think others have got relevant experience now. I don't about the
So,
examination. Yeah.
yeah, what Gaurav said is right. Another thing, Savita, before I forget, the standard of questions in Simply Learn is nowhere close to the standard of BABOK questioning. So, like if you're scoring, say, 80% in those seven mock exams or something that they have, you're essentially somewhere falling at 60-65 range. You
Oh
got
my
what?
God. Is that the variance that you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. So I have personally realized that this IABA, like whosoever has written BABOK, they run their own training institute called Watermark Learning, and they
Yeah,
design questions in much closer way to the real life CBAP questions. And
Correct.
right.
there is a wide difference between simply learn questioning and this I'm not saying simply learn is substandard or something, but out of the 120 questions, probably 20 to 30 are exam standard questions, rest are direct questions, like I discussed about
Oh,
Bloom's taxonomy, right? Like information
yeah.
comprehension application. Many questions I felt in simply learn were drafted in a knowledge testing perspective, like
Correct.
which task is under a knowledge area. That's straight, right? Like
Theoretical
you
ones.
read it and you can answer. So just be little careful there. Like try to score as much as you can so that there is a deviation there.
Oh
Yeah,
my
even I
goodness.
have realized that when
Yeah.
so simply learn is just a gist of it, but there is a lot of
Uh,
things,
As the name
questions that
says,
we
it's
need.
simply learn. That's it.
Mainly
Yeah,
there.
just learn and crack your exam in your own way.
Exactly. So they have
Yeah.
filtered it very well. Like it's a humongous book, right? Like 500 pager or 600 pager. They have filtered it in a very in a nutshell, which is really good because what I found personally difficult was relating, as I mentioned, like page 1 to page 100 or page 304. The same thing is mentioned and what is where. So these guys have given a crisp of handbook sort of a thing, like slides or something, and I tried making some one pagers out of it, even further simplified, right? So I just had 6 pages for 6 knowledge areas, and now I walk the wall and I know, okay, this is related to this task or this is related to this. So that's how
Okay.
I started. Yeah, my prep strategy, like I can probably talk in another session, not to kill this session, but try to be mindful about the standard of questioning if you're targeting CBAP soon. I would recommend to buy any of the exams like 7 tests or 5 tests from, I know Watermark Learning, but if someone else is there, please do try to learn, buy those and answer those questions.
I
Okay.
think
That's
Watermark
an
is the
insight.
most famous one.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, but then simply learn having such amount of variance is an eye opener.
Yeah, yeah,
It's an insight.
yeah. Because I personally know people who were scoring somewhere around 75-80%, and they flunked very narrowly. Like, see, again,
Gosh.
exam fees is a revenue for IAB, though it's a non-profit. Okay, so they try to push
Right.
as much as you can. So try not to fall prey for the second attempt. Uh,
Right, right.
so
That's the
those.
case with most of the certifications. Very few offer a free a retake.
Right, right. Yeah. So it's a revenue for them end of the day. So they try to maintain us or strike a trade-off between actually making it tough and getting money, right? So end of the day, it's no non-profit, but just this is offline. I'm not saying they're operating for profit, but it would be wise to buy those tests and reach that standard and then take the exam, so that the chances of flunking the exam are very less.
Hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
hi, Vin and Gaurav. I just had a quick request. So, would it be possible for you to share any of the material that you had prepared, if you don't mind? Maybe it
Sure.
might be useful for others who are currently working for.
When can share his would be the latest one.
Yeah, because I have just made a picture of my profile picture just to show one of the knowledge areas. If you can see, like that's the page I have made, and tasks are there, and I couldn't cover the whole of it, but that's net. That's how I have initiated it. Can you see?
Yeah, it looks very interesting. I mean, you have tabulated everything, right?
Right, right. So like basically I filtered as much as I can, and I've put a wall. I'll share this. Like Prashant has just added me to the Telegram group. I'll share all my hand
Yeah.
notes, cheat sheets, and hand notes, and my prep strategy. Probably we can make another session on prep strategy, like CBAP. What was my way of clearing, and probably Gaurav, if you can please share your prep strategy. People can. There is no written formula. Everyone has devised their own
Yeah,
formula. It
but
helps.
mine would be like 6 years old, because I think I gave in
Yeah,
2016,
Doesn't
strategy.
and I
Like
was in
when you
2.0.
doesn't
I
prepare.
can share that.
doesn't matter, Gaurav.
Strategy is still strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
strategy, right? Like because one
Yeah,
challenge which everyone would face is the dryness of the subject. It's all text, right? It's a dump of ink. So
Yeah.
unless you
Mhm.
read between the lines, you cannot find it gripping. So you somehow have to make it lively yourself. Otherwise, like you'll not love it. I know many people keep postponing it 1 year, 2 years. Suddenly
correct.
December have a time, and then they feel that I'll give it in the next 2 months. Again, they go back. So yeah, that should not happen. If you take it 2 months, 3 months, finish it. That's it. Don't even
Correct.
look back.
That's what I told. Correct.
Yeah, and when Vineet, just to add you to your point, that is one of the reasons why the chapters conduct a group session on the study groups.
Right, right.
Rather, they form study groups and try to make it more lively and what to say, just to make sure that people are on the same page and don't lose out just because of the dryness of the subject.
Right, right, right. Group, yeah. Anything in a group, like personal, like we have a group accountability, right? Like, so sharing of thoughts, and my mind will function only in particular direction. So if I hear your perspective, oh, this is another perspective or another dimension that I can think of.
Absolutely.
A group is, yeah. I personally would prefer doing it in a group, but given our lifestyles and professional life commitments and professional commitments, probably we may not have that healthy group that we set aside 1 hour for study. In that case, yeah, I would love to share my prep strategy, and yeah, you can take it from there.
I studied alone, so that's how I study. So I generally can't function in groups. So maybe that's my
There are
limitation.
exceptions. There are
No, but
exceptions
no,
to
it's
any
not like
rule.
100% isolation, but generally the way I do it is I focus on comprehension. So
Okay.
a lot of times it's the way the main strategy I followed is I tried to tie everything with my experience, and through experience I try to, so I did a lot of thinking while reading. I didn't so that's why even my notes most of the times are like, okay, in this project I did it this way, oh, this is what they are trying to say, and that's the way I linked everything. But then yeah, that's how I gave the exam. So it's really, I mean, I don't have anything on paper written that, but then many a times I just I didn't read it in bulk. I just read it in patches, in terms of the way I told you, know, this is the knowledge area I'm reading, this is the input, this is the output, these are the techniques, these are the stakeholders. Let's see how have I used it anywhere in my experience or not. If I have, then that helped me to remember things.
Right.
I mean, but then yeah, maybe that's because I gave it, maybe I had that experience and I could relate. But group study generally helps if somebody doesn't know, then my experience might help someone to relate it to their, I mean, keep remember it in during their examination. Yeah, I get it. I mean, importance of states group study is there. Yes, definitely.
I prefer groups, Prashant. Like I prefer, but I can do individual as well. Given the lifestyle, like I said, here I don't know, like
Mm,
distances. I live in
Yeah.
Toronto.
correct.
Had it been India, like it's easy. Come over to my place or that sort of a thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
I prefer group too because I have a motivation. Okay, I will have to understand this and make the other group understand, or the same motivation even you would have different
Yeah.
thoughts.
mm,
So I
yeah,
remember what you say more than what I read, right? Like it's all living experience. You may
mm,
coin some example from your working experience. So I would remember that example and that gives me an answer for a question.
right.
So something like that.
True.
Thanks,
Okay.
Gaurav. Thanks. When we will love to have that session on your tips and tricks which you followed for going for the certification. So we'll eagerly wait for that. So a reminder to our audiences, we will be closing the room around 11:30. So we just have another half an hour. So in case you have any queries or would like to share your experiences, this is the time. This is the last call. Please raise your hand and join us on stage. Sidhu, you want to add something?
Yes, yes, I need to add for some queries in the certification fields. Okay. If we are working as a business analyst, and also BABOK is very familiar to us. I just want to know that what is our upper key of hierarchy, senior business analyst and a manager business analyst. So when it comes to the managers, it's end in the business analyst role. So do we need to connect to the career growth in the project management or else product management or else any other kind of operation management? So anyone have an idea on these kind of hierarchies where we need to grow?
So Sidhu, we did discussed about career paths available for a BA in one of our sessions. We can reconduct that topic, in one of the upcoming sessions, if that's fine.
That's really great. Okay, that's
Yeah, yeah. Just so in case anyone will like any topic to be taken up specifically, please just put a note in our Telegram group, and we'll see as and when we find speakers for that topic, we'll convene on that. Yeah. So Gaurav, will you like to touch upon techniques and underlying competencies?
Correct, correct. So
Yeah.
the last part was related with underlying competencies only. Uh, so I think, yeah, we are on time in a way. So basically, how do I use these underlying competencies? Beyond, I mean, not for certifications, but so basically, I have used them to know where do I stand, or as a reference point for myself. So how do we do that? So if you see the underlying competencies also in BABOK, they have got a good structure built around those competencies as well. So for example, what they say is generally for a business analyst, they have mentioned six groups of underlying competencies in BABOK. So even if you go through their table of content, you'll see them that they talk about analytical thinking and problem solving, behavioral ones, characteristics. I think business knowledge is there, interactions, all those things, and tools and technology are also there. So what I found interesting in the BABOK was the structure of these competencies as well. So if you go under these competencies or each group of the competencies, so if I'm saying I am talking about say the analytical thinking on problem solving, so they have divided this group, underlying competency group, into 7 8, I guess, competencies, sub competencies you might call, like creative thinking, decision making, learning, problem solving, systems thinking, etc., etc. So what part I like about them in the BABOK is basically whenever we talk about competencies, the main part is measuring that particular competency. So what I say is, say for example, I'm saying that I'm good at communication, but then how do you measure it? All these competencies assessments or measuring a competency would require certain measures or certain behavioral traits. Why I'm saying those are important, because say for example, if any other someone from any other operational area, or we see a lot of questions wherein someone says, okay, I'm from so and so domain, I want to become a BA, how should I go about it? Someone says, okay, I am doing a certain totally different job, I'm a teacher and I want to become a BA, or I'm a regional manager in bank, I want to become a BA, how can I go about it? Now obviously there are these knowledge areas that we talked about. As a BA, you should be aware of these knowledge areas, and you should know that okay, this is what a BA does. But then other than that, to perform on those knowledge areas, you should have certain capabilities or competencies or certain traits within you which would make you a good BA. And that is where I think the underlying competencies help you to measure yourself against. So if BABOK is saying that okay, as a BA, you should have an underlying competency of analytical thinking, what does it encompasses and where do I stand on it? So basically, what how will I measure if I am good at analytical thinking, and if I want to switch my role or switch my job into totally different new profile of a business analyst, how should I go about it? And that's where I think BABOK helps. So for example, if I'm saying that one of the sub competency is teamwork. Now there are a lot of things, I mean a lot of definition of teamworks and all, but if I read through BABOK, and if they say okay, when we are saying you have a teamwork as a competency, or when you can say you are proficient in teamwork, that there are they have mentioned effective measures, and these effective measures are nothing but the behavioral traits. So for example, if you effectively resolve conflict, okay, then they say okay, you are you have this competency of teamwork. If you support or if you shared sense if you provide shared sense of ownership within team, so you are building a teamwork within your team. So this effective measures part of underlying competencies is something which all of us should have a look at if you're going beyond certification. So so basically, in a normal sense, I was talking about communication skills, or if you're we are saying that uh, even if we keep BABOK aside, if I am saying that if I want to measure someone if he is good at oral communication, how can I measure it? So one of the measuring points I can say that okay, have you addressed a meeting of 15 stakeholders at a time? So okay, if yes, then yes, you are a proficient at maybe a oral speaking or a public speaking. Have you conducted one-on-one meetings regularly with sponsors or senior management people? If someone says yes, okay, then you are a proficient in oral communication. I'm not looking at BABOK. BABOK might have their own set of effective measures, but I always feel that as a BA, we should be aware of these underlying competencies, and we even if we go through these competencies and the measures, we can say that, or we should be able to evaluate ourselves, where do we stand. So if a global body is saying okay, these are the six into, and each competency has got five sub competencies, so around 30-35 competencies we are talking about for a business analyst, where do I stand? And that is where the objective evaluation of every individual who wants to be a would help. So if someone from any other profession wants to come to be a profession, they should at least give a look at this part of BABOK, saying that okay, at least they are talking about business or a domain knowledge, I don't have it. So out of these 35, I am not up to the mark on say 15 or on say 20. At least I know okay, at least I am good at these 10, and I have worked on, out of these six knowledge areas, I have worked on three knowledge areas. So as a BA, I can evaluate myself saying that okay, I have this much ground to cover. This is where I stand today. This is the ground I need to cover. These are the knowledge areas I need to work on, and these are the competencies I work on. So this gives you a good platform to start or begin your journey. Again, it gives you a structure, as I was talking about. Again, it's a structure. Other guides might give you different structure, different competencies, which is absolutely fine, but this is what BABOK gives you, and you can use this knowledge to evaluate yourself to see where do you stand. And that was the last point I wanted to cover, that how can I use it to have that reference point in my mind. And it's not related with certification, it's not related with exam, it's purely related with me as a professional BA working or doing my own business analysis the best way I can do. So yeah, so, and I hope this I could explain this point.
Thanks, Gaurav. Sidhu, I can see your mic flashing, plus, but please wait. Madan has joined us. So, hi, Madan. Madan?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the Telegram group you were mentioning.
Yeah, so if you see the BA club, there is a small hut icon at the top of the screen. If you click on that icon, it will take you to the description of the club page. There we have mentioned two Telegram groups. One is Business Analysis Knowledge Forum group, which is a community of 7,000, around 7,000 business analysts. So you can, it's a knowledge sharing group. So you can post your queries there. There is another group which is the BA Club Telegram group. This group is created specifically for our Telegram sessions and the Clubhouse sessions. And all the links and the upcoming topics are posted there. So if you join this group, you can see that I have made certain notes out of this conversation as well in the Telegram group. So it's just a separate group for Clubhouse
Okay,
sessions. So if you can, you are most welcome to join both the groups.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Madan. Sidhu?
Yes, Shubhra, I have a question to Gaurav. Gaurav have said that need a competencies of 32 to 36, something else. So some people have the competencies like working as a analytics, and also they making good at designing and mock-up, and also they are good at making the process stepwise. Everything whatever the data pulling, mining, and taking that everything as whatever framework have to do for business analyst. But few of them is very bad at negotiation and making approach towards the client. Is that this kind of single bearer in the competencies is acceptable as a BA, or need both of them?
Yeah, so see, I mean, as if you ask me, uh, there are certain sets which I might give high weightage to, but that is not necessarily every BA or every job or every project would give weightage to. So for example, if someone is inward facing business analyst who is never talking to the stakeholders, then I mean, as a competency you might not even use it. You might be focusing on analytical skills. So it all depends on the weightage, or the distribution of the competencies is depends on lot of factors. What I'm trying to say is these are six groups prescribed or described by BABOK. They are not necessarily in the sequence of importance. They as far as I remember, they don't talk about certain set of requirements being very crucial, but based on experience across industries or across jobs, many a times what they say is uh, the main or I can say what I feel is the one of the competencies areas is business knowledge. And I feel amongst all of these, for me at least, based on my experience, I would rate it bit higher than others. Okay, so the business knowledge covers the industry knowledge, organization knowledge, solution knowledge, the methodology knowledge as well. So I feel that as a business analyst, that is, for me, it's a core competency. And the second then comes the analytical thinking and problem solving, etc. But then again, BABOK doesn't say that this is important, this is not important. Maybe it depends on the organization, nature of the project, nature of the job, etc. There are a lot of other points, and nobody will, I mean, these competencies are not something like people would ask you, or it's something that I have put in this example, saying that I can evaluate myself where I have knowledge of or where I lack. So it's for individual needs or individual growth. So even if you want to use in resume, what the way you can do it is, or during interviews, if someone asks what are your strengths, maybe you can pick up a group of competencies from these competencies and quote examples wherein you have showed those competencies at proficiency level. So again, it gives you a structure to answer your question. So yeah, I mean, I nobody will, I don't think anybody will be able to tell you what is the most prominent or most important competency amongst all. Yeah, maybe others can pitch in if I have said something wrong.
No, Gaurav. So I like just like to add something which was said by one of our speakers in one of the previous sessions, and I really like that. So what this person said, I don't remember who said that, but what this person said that everyone will have their strengths, everyone will have their weaknesses. First thing you need to do is to identify your strengths and identify your weaknesses. Then for the weaknesses part, just understand and analyze them, that they are not becoming a blocker in your career path and in your aspirations. And in case you need to work on them so that those blockers are removed. But don't try to convert your weaknesses into your strengths, and work on your strengths and improve them and enhance them and make full use of them. And that is what you are, what is going to take you places, not your weaknesses. So don't focus too much on your weaknesses, just ensure that they are not blockers, and you should be in a good place. And I really like that, so just quoting it again.
Very good, Shubhra. I like it.
Yeah, thanks, Sidhu, and hope Gaurav and me were able to resolve your query. So Gaurav, Savita asked one question at the beginning of the session, about once,
Recertification.
yeah, once someone gives a certification, what's next? So what person needs to do to get to recertify?
Uh, as far as I remember, there is a PDF on IIBA's website which talks about there are certain um, things that you would do to earn those credits. I think you talked about it. So if you have been speaker to certain events, if you have published certain articles, I think even attending their sessions or webinars earn you certain points. Basically they ask you, they check the contribution that you have done as a BA to recertify. And I think they give 1 year of grace. I mean, at least for me, I remember they used to give 1 year of grace period, during which you have to submit those credits. So generally what, I don't remember the exact categories that they have, but I think there was one related with published article, being speaker, uh, book reading. I'm not sure about book, I mean, it was again if you have published a book or something. And training also was one of them, as I think it was there, but then the document would be appropriate place to do it. But eventually what you do is, on your login or the membership login, you have to submit the pointers. Based on the pointers, how many credits you are requesting for. And I think they require 40 credits, I guess, and based on which you will be recertified. But yeah, I'll have to read. I don't know. When I think, have you opted for recertification recently?
Not yet, Gaurav. 3 years, right? So I
Yeah,
am doing some kind of volunteer work, which would give me
correct.
some hours.
Right.
Usually, after certification, they expect you to keep abreast with the changing trends. So there are webinars, or local chapters conduct some seminars in person. Because of COVID, here at least seminars are not happening, but webinars, yes, do happen. And in case you're interested, you can do some kind of a volunteer work for working hand in hand with president or vice president of the club, and you can start a chapter by yourself, take an initiative. There is a Toastmasters, which is a part of IIBA. So any of this work done will count for your certification,
Yeah.
recertification.
And I think, Savita, there is on membership portal there is volunteer opportunities from IIBA as well.
Yeah, I
So you can
wanted
check.
to
So
know
they ask.
what kind of volunteer opportunity, because it's not very clearly defined what kind of volunteer opportunities we will be
Uh,
provided, etc. I'm really not clear about that.
Like whatever I'm doing right now, Gaurav is doing right now, or I'm doing, in case someone
Mm-hmm.
else can vouch for me. For instance, if someone is officially a member of a chapter, they can vouch for me and they'll issue a certificate saying that this person has actually spent 1 hour on the group, and which is
Okay.
trying to spread the fraternity, business analyst analysis fraternity. And it can be as simple as that. It can be very structured as well. Like probably if you're taking 1 hour every week to help someone do some document or repository, any of that kind of a work. Suppose there are study sessions, for instance, like all the watermark learning, there are some study
Mm-hmm.
sessions in case you are a backup for the trainer, so running the slides or something, any help that you do also counts as a volunteer work.
Okay.
Also, there is volunteer work in terms of publishing articles also. So I under IWay the chapters, not chapters, but then on the website, I've earned point through publishing, or even the POA guide. I got it through the volunteering option which was there on this portal. So the work I did to write the guide, provide the literature, even review, attend those meetings, that is also voluntary work which earns you those hours or points.
Okay. So it all depends on what kind of work we get at that point of time, right?
Correct. And as when I think he was saying also, the local chapters, if you are part of those local chapters and active, you can get those points or
PDUs.
hours, PDUs.
So,
Yes.
Savita, there are
Okay.
options in the market where without doing anything, they just sell PDUs. Okay, like many
Yeah,
people.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
I know that.
So if you don't want to do anything, just recertification, like yeah, pay some bucks and get those PDUs. But if you are really interested in actually doing it, what is expected, there are 101 ways. Like you will figure it out
Okay.
yourself. Like once you start exploring IBA, sign up for the newsletters, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you find interesting, right? Like probably teaching, you like mentoring. Like once you are a CBAP, probably you may want to help a group. You can
Mm-hmm.
ask and write to them saying, I would like to help a group. In fact, some people do it in their
Mm-hmm.
organization. They go back to their
Correct.
organization, say that this is what I've learned. I would like to implement this, and that also counts because what IAB is trying to do is essentially spread this inside organizations because see, we are all individuals, right? We can't go change a company and the functioning and the culture. So I
Mm-hmm.
am being reached out from multiple sources saying, like account managers and of IABA saying, can you discuss this with your higher ups? Can we implement this at your company? Because at a
Mm-hmm.
fundamental level, they have to accept this guide, right? Like that's what they're trying to do. So any of this will
Okay.
count as volunteer. Yeah.
Okay.
Vineet, you
Got it.
also happen to mention something about Toastmasters. So, can you just elaborate on that? How is that connected to IIBA?
Sure, yeah. So Toastmasters International is a generic club for you know what it is, right? Like improving our
Yes.
presentation skills and diction and all that. So IIBA
Yeah.
also has a subgroup. Like in my company, there was a Toastmaster. The previous company also had a Toastmasters club. Same way,
Right.
IIBA has a Toastmasters club, and you can like the Toronto chapter. There are 10 chapters within GT, like Greater Toronto area itself, wherever I live, and I'm a part of
Mhm.
Toronto chapter. So you
Okay.
can be a part of that club. You can take up topics like table topics master, or you can deliver a speech. Suppose you deliver a
Yeah.
15-minute speech and participate in 1.5 hour session, you are
Mm.
awarded two PDUs, which is like 45 minutes is considered as one PDU. There is a membership fee. It's not for free, but
Yeah,
you are
I know.
also building a skill. Yeah. So
Yes. Yes.
basically there are
You have to
paths,
be a
pathways.
certified Toastmaster, right, Vinay?
Can you
Not
please repeat?
necessarily.
Not necessarily, right?
Not necessary. Toastmaster is like a club wherein you have the it's an initiative by the organization. The you need to have minimum number of people who are willing to join and develop their skills.
Yeah,
And there
I've
will
been
be
part of
there will
it, but I
yeah.
thought we should know the rules, ground rules of the Toastmasters Club in order to join. So that's what I
No,
thought. Okay.
not necessary.
Oh,
Because I was part of the initial setting up of the Toastmasters Club, but then by the time it started functioning, I had left out of the organization, so I missed it out. So,
Um,
Shipra, if
yeah, Prashant.
going by what Vinith said, he said that whatever Gaurav and Vinith are doing right now are also counting as volunteering. How many have we hosted here?
I was about to ask, so am I earning CDUs without
TDUs,
even
TDUs,
given?
not TDUs.
No, so that's continued development units,
Acha, like that.
Prashant, which
Okay,
which are
right,
given
right.
after the exam is given, right? So
Ah,
PDUs are before the exam and CDUs are after the
after
exam.
yes.
So have I earned CDUs enough?
Yeah, ideally you should Shipra.
every
Just that
every week to ask Shikra.
Every week 2 hours?
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Only for the last 3 weeks, I have lost out. Hmm.
Ideally, yes,
Yeah.
Chitra.
Have
It's
I?
not a bad idea to initiate that. You can write to them, IBA, if you are already a CBAP, and say that you are conducting a session like that, and probably share a
Correct.
link. They might join for a few hours. See,
Correct.
intent is to spread the fraternity. Whoever it is, like
Wow.
IBA or PMI or whosoever or Sadhguru for that matter, I don't know if it has relevance. They try to spread the concept they believe, okay, to as
Yeah.
many people as possible. So that's the intent. Yeah, you
Right.
you you can earn CDOs with this.
Hmm. So let me take the certification first, which I'm postponing from
Chipra
last
will
so
work it
many
out.
years. Yeah.
We will work it out.
Yeah. So Krishna has joined us in the last minute. So Krishna,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. So you have joined us. So is there something that you'd like to add or ask any question?
In what perspective?
Uh, we are talking about Babok.
Sorry, ma'am. My age is just 20 and not available to Babas.
Okay. Then you can leave the room. Thank you. Uh, yeah.
Okay.
I moved him to audience. Okay, so this is we are right on time. We have 3 minutes left. So is there anyone who has any last questions to ask Gaurav and Vineet? We are hoping to schedule another session with them in upcoming days where we will learn tips and tricks which they used to understand crack Babok and do the certification. And we will also like to understand how this certification has changed their overall career journey and experience in the market. So we'll get back to them. I hope they are available to join us again and they like to join us again. But any last questions for today? um no, I guess
Cool.
so.
Any
So
feedback
So,
also, that's welcome.
Vinith, just one thing. Probably I have a lot of questions which are to be answered. So probably we'll connect offline and we'll discuss about taking this up.
Sure, sure. I'm not a pro. Like whatever best I know, for sure. Yeah, we can definitely
That's
connect offline.
fine. That's fine. Still, you are sharing information and knowledge, right?
Right,
So
right. Whatever I know,
you're
yeah,
you're
and I can
you're
connect you with
you're,
many
you're
sources.
probably spreading it to the fraternity.
Yeah, so back in the mornings, usually I used to have those sessions, but these days I'm not joining those. I'm bored of those like watermark learning sessions, but I can connect my resources to you also so that they
Sure.
can probably directly answer your questions in case I can't answer.
No, that's fine. That's very much fine.
Thanks, Prashant.
Uh,
Thanks, Shipra, for hosting the room and all
thank,
your time. Yeah, being patient.
Sorry, Vinay, I stopped you in between. I'm feeling bad, but it's just that I wanted to close the session on time and we were going in a different tangent. So we do hope that you'll join us again and we'll talk about product management. So
Absolutely,
thanks
yeah.
for
Thank
thanks for joining us and sharing your views.
It's
And
been a pleasure hosting you both, Gaurav and Vineet. Thanks for
yeah,
your insights and valuable points.
Sure,
thanks,
sure.
thanks, Gaurav. Like,
thanks, Gaurav.
yeah, thanks, Gaurav.